look at the map veto now as we can bring up for you what maps we will and won't play on. We just saw an exciting matchup on Bank. Coastline and Oregon are banned this time around, so there is a possibility that we could go back to Bank depending on the way that these bans shape.
Possible. Also a possibility of Villa, as it's not been banned out. Consulate, something we saw a lot over the last weekend. Not going to be played here as well. I don't think that's due to the new bomb site or anything, but there goes Bank off the board. So it's down to Border Clubhouse Villa, which is dropped next.
And both Coastline and Consulate have seen so much play recently. I feel like we actually haven't seen that much Oregon. Oregon has very much fallen out of favor, which is a delight to a lot of viewers who, for quite a while, were critical of the fact that teams seem to have Oregon as always the must-see site or the must-see map to play on. Just waiting on the last ban from Team 1. We got Border and Clubhouse last left, and it's going to be Border, so we're going to go to Clubhouse. It's always a treat to get to see the new Clubhouse as well.
Especially depending on the operator bans, I think can affect this bomb site, or the bomb site's quite a bit upstairs specifically. Sometimes we'll see a Thermite band, or a Thatcher, or even Habana, or a Bandit even we've seen in the past. So there's lots of different ways to strategically try and affect those top floor bomb sites, which I think is one of the few maps that does that so much.
Yeah, and especially on Gym and Master side of the deal with the jacuzzi wall.
Yeah.
Now, there's a wall just outside by the jacuzzi on the little patio that they have, the little balcony out there, where there used to be a portion of the wall above the top of the reinforcement that the reinforcement did not cover.
Yeah.
And if you were to put an exothermic charge on it, as an attacker, the defenders could have an impact and throw the impact, hit the top, and it would blow up. And the explosive radius from the impact would actually get the exothermic charge and keep the wall safe for the defense. That section of the wall has now been replaced by a metal beam, so defenders are no longer able to easily take out the exothermic charge or a set of X-Kairos by Hibana with an impact grenade. It's made that site a little bit more favorable to the attackers.
To be honest, I'm disappointed about that change.
I mean, it's okay. I think that there's a lot to be said with requiring teams to have to attack differently other than just throwing one impact grenade. You know, there's plenty of opportunities, especially on Clubhouse, to stop either a set of X-Kairos to save a hatch or to save a hard wall, especially downstairs in church, because that church wall still has that part where you can throw the impact.
Yeah, it's not completely gone. And, I mean, obviously there's not that on the other side, on that sort of kennels wall, so you don't have that same opportunity, but nonetheless there's plenty of ways to bandit trick that.
Who do you think is going to walk away with this? Pain Gaming is a very popular team, a very popular org, and even though Pain Gaming is sitting in 6th, and even with the change taking one of their star players of UNA out, and we'll see what 9XT is able to contribute to the team, well, would you look at that? It's going to be Pain Gaming, 60, 28, and 12. That is quite a gulf between these teams, especially for Team 1 who's sitting in 3rd right now.
Maybe it's because they saw that roster change, and they have faith in it to bring them back. We saw what it just did for Black Dragons. So it's possible that that could be the change that they needed. I mean, chances are Una was probably moving in what looked like an upgrade to him, so we'll see if they found an adequate replacement, as this is a player we haven't seen anything from, much like Small. So it is another big wild card, I think. And of course, that will probably shift the roles that they play, which will make it even more of a wild card for for the other side to deal with, for Team 1.
From what I understand, Una was doing a lot of the shot calling as well for Pain. And it's something that he's going to be bringing to FaZe now. If we can just focus on FaZe for just a second here before we get into the next matchup, was that Gohan was doing primary shot calling for FaZe. Now that he's no longer on the team, I believe he's been benched or moved to sub, if I recall. He posted on Instagram that he was going to be taking a bit of a break from competitive gaming for the time being. You also had Mav as the secondary IGL. This is Una and Mav also being reunited. The last time they played together, they played under the Black Dragons banner. So these two members of two separate teams now being on the same team together, and if Yuna's going to be taking over a primary IGLing role with Mav helping him, that could be a major directive for FaZe, because FaZe has always really struggled to put it together where they've had those building blocks. They look like they're going to do well, and then they just failed to realize the potential that I think a lot of people see the team having.
I think pretty much everything you just said was a big factor in why he made that shift.
Oh, absolutely.
And why it worked out. And I mean, we'll see how that works out for the team. But overall, that sounds like a good change in terms of, I mean, it's a bummer about Gohan. Breaks usually don't last that long in this game, though, so I imagine he'll be back shortly, because it's hard to scratch this itch with anything else. Maybe he won't be back directly in Pro League or anything like that, but I imagine won't be the last we see of Gohan for quite a while.
Oh, Gohan's a very talented player in terms of his ability to get kills. You know, he absolutely tore it up. He got 33 kills or something like that over 2 matches in one stretch. in the Paris Major Quals. I believe it was against Orglis, and just an absolute Herculean effort to lift his team up. But enough about FaZe. We'll be talking about them next matchup. Team 1 versus Pain Gaming. We'll get underway, and we'll go to Clubhouse, a map that has seen a rework not too long ago. We've actually got the new flight here for you showing the updates. And if you're new to the way that this map is played, Clubhouse is typically defender favored. It's one of the maps where you can usually see the defenders rack up the score with good reliability. It's not as prone to operator bans as some of the other maps. A good example of that could possibly be Bank, and it really depends on exactly what gets taken out by the attackers here now. Typically seeing a lot of hard breacher bans, especially on this map, because taking Hibana or Thermite away from one of the teams, especially the first attacking team, fundamentally changes how they have to attack the sites. That translates directly to a loss of hard destruction on the basement for attackers, as well as being able to take a crack at the garage, because a lot of times teams have to wrestle control of the garage away from the defenders. But there will be no hard breacher bans this time, as Lion and Thatcher will be the two attack operators banned. Lion being banned by Pain, Thatcher from Team 1, and our first defensive ban from Team 1 will come in, and it's going to be Mira. Not really a surprise there. Mira is often banned on most maps just because of the immense amount of things that she brings to the table for the defense.
You can say the same about Lion. This is not the first time we've seen Thatcher banned on this. A big part of that is being able to better defend that kennel wall I was talking about earlier by being able to bandit trick it and not having to deal with Thatcher going to make that even easier. But maybe because Maverick is not banned, we will see him impact that cache bomb site because of his ability to deny bandit and or mute. There goes Echo off the board as well, so that means Maestro in play is probably going to see a fair amount of play. Could also see Clash, as it's not banned, but it was also not banned. No, it was banned last matchup, so it was no surprise to not see it there. And there we go, 9XT, the newest member, already at least teasing it, if not going to stick it.
We've seen a lot of teams run the Clash and then 6-pick off of it, because I think you need a certain operator lineup to take care of Clash. Zofia and Capitao are often Clash's two hardest counters, and with a Clash on the board, wouldn't be much of a surprise to see a possible change here for T1. And there you go, from Blackbeard to Zofia, because those three concussive mines from the lifeline will be able to remove Clash's shield from in front of her body and make her vulnerable for a short period of time and allow some counterplay for the attackers. The Finca is going to be very interesting, because the only real region where we see Finca played at all is Latin America. We know that Pain Gaming really likes to run a Finca Blitz combo, but of course Pain starting on defense, it's going to be Team 1 who are going to be mirroring that to a certain extent, bringing the Finca. Now she also has frag grenades after the recent change, so just a little bit extra in her kit. And those frags will pair nicely with the frag grenades as well, available from the Buck. So 4 frag grenades on the board for the attackers. Not to mention the grenades on Sophia's lifeline as well. So yeah, they're going to have a lot of destructive capability onto the actual site. What they're not bringing, though, I don't think is any smokes for Glaz, other than Glaz himself. So he's going to be kind of doing his own thing for the most part. The only hard breacher they're bringing is Thermite. They're not going to bother with Hibana for the hatches, which means a maximum of 2 hatches open on this attack here. So they're going to have to choose wisely. I imagine we'll probably see Moto hatch open and possibly either kitchen or stock for the other, depending on how they want to go about it. But nonetheless, as you mentioned, a lot of destructive capability. It is interesting, though, to see the Finca being brought in terms of what this is actually going to bring to the attack. I mean, yeah, you have the boost, but that's not really going to do a ton for these particular attackers, other than, you know, give them that little extra bit. Although I would imagine the recoil reduction might not impact as much certain guns that were changed already by the recoil in terms of messing with your recoil control. So that might be a factor in maybe making Finca slightly more playable in the current build. Also, without the Thatcher ban, it also means that trying to take out this dirt tunnel could be very easy, or could be very difficult for the attackers. As you've seen, a deployable shield and a mute jammer being placed behind it would basically make it out of reach for the attackers to be able to get the mute jammer, unless wasting frag grenades or possibly even 1 or 2 of Zofia's grenades from the lifeline. So I'm surprised that after the Thatcher ban came out, we didn't see Pain capitalize on that. Team 1 banned the Thatcher starting on attack, so obviously they likely had a strategy in mind, but yeah. I'm going to see Pain Gaming probably try to take advantage of the fact that Team 1 with that Thermite could have possibly foregone a push on the dirt. Now, mind you, without a Hibana, it doesn't seem likely that an exothermic charge is going to be used on the dirt tunnel.
Yeah.
So, likely see it probably go in the kitchen hatch and the bar hatch, or even keep one for the church wall.
Yeah, definitely a resource choice you have to make, and hopefully they don't have to change up last minute because you don't get a lot of options once you've already dedicated to one push that you're going to have to make. And this Clash in Blue is actually going to make this interesting in terms of holding this back, because Blue can be hard to hold normally except for behind Generator, but this shield, of course, is going to make it possible for him to just push aggressively towards the stairs and maybe even rotate up late if he can keep control of those.
There's a drone sitting in front of 9XT anticipating a possible body or two at Blue stairs. 9XT will call it out and will get manually shot from somebody from Pain inside a church. This clash is going to be really intriguing to watch. It's going to be the first clash that we do see today. Obviously, as you mentioned, that clash being banned on Bank meant that this is the only opportunity, or the earliest opportunity, at the new shielded operator on defense. Brought out Hugzord as he aggresses down the bottom of main stairs, will meet his end at the hands of a well-placed C4. And you managed to take out that Zofia, so one of the best counters available to Clash will be gone. Also, keep in mind that with this Finka in play, her ability to make the rest of her team super soldiers is still very much there. Spawns will pick up a double, and Revolt's getting one for Pain means that it's all up to iBlax as he'll be slowed very frustratingly so, and 9XT will just pull down the shield, drop the shield, pull out the 2-round SMG. Look at how slow it makes you. Perfect display here, and just tap, tap, tap away. Pain will open things up with a successful first-round defense.
Unfortunately for that Finka, the boost, I believe the adrenaline boost, does not counter the taser slowdown in any way. So you're still just slowed down. You saw the effect of that as he tried to push towards it for the melee, because one of the counters that is possible if you're not being tased is melee and Clash of Shield, and you get a nice hip-fire shot that you could do plenty of damage with if you time it well, if you have a good ADS time on your gun. But nonetheless, didn't get the opportunity because of being slowed down through that narrow entry path. So iBlack's going to change his mind in his attacking operator, although they're, of course, changing bomb sites as well. They're going to go for that cache. And again, sneaking in the Clash, but this time a 6-pick. And there's the Maverick as well, so both new operators being 6-picked. We'll see that being a factor. But, as I said, this is the one bomb site where I'd say Maverick impacts the most, and where I was most excited to see him play, once he was revealed. Although in this case, I was anticipating the hot tub jacuzzi wall you were talking about earlier still being impactable, in which case Maverick would have an even bigger impact on this map. But nonetheless, he still will be useful even if they try and push on that side.
Yeah. So, where are we going to see things shake out? CCTV and cache upstairs will be the scene for round number 2. Now, the way that you attack CCTV and cache can vary depending on your actual composition. Cloud9, for example, just yesterday, made it a habit, and also all throughout Montreal, of attacking through construction, often negating the defensive structures that were set up from their opponents inside a garage. But typically, teams won't do that. They'll have to seize garage first. A lot of times, the most defensive structure, as mentioned, that you'll see will be either a Maestro or an Echo or a Mute or a Jaeger playing up top. Now, there is a Jaeger available as well as a Maestro. And 2 ADSs situated on that top catwalk mean that there will likely be a body played up there. There are plenty of projectile spam coming out from Team 1, so they can clear those ADS, but it will require a commitment of either their secondary gadgets or their primaries. Looking very closely at Hugzord as a Zofia, possibly to use some of her gadgetry and her resources to try and drain the ADSs. iBlax is going to now take this Kennel's Wall, as you mentioned, and that'll open things up for GDN. And look at that. All it takes is one puff of Surrey, that blowtorch, to negate the bandit wire on the other side, and there'll be a freebie for GDN as that wall now opens wide up and allows T1 to just survey all of CCTV, and that pushes Pain back deeper into the site.
Well, thankfully for them, they have that Clash shield that they snuck in on their 6th pick to be able to push back against that wall, and that is something that Ion cannot shoot through. So a situation where they're going to have to figure out some way to push that back. They do have the Zofia you're mentioning is somewhat of a counter to an extent, but you have to kind of have a teammate there ready to take the opportunity to take that shot, because the timing on trying to get back to your weapon on Zofia is not really fast enough to do much with that.
We also saw the bandit wire and then the solidified wall over towards construction. It's pretty common that a team would try to take that wall next, so they'll have to quicken the pace, though, for the attackers as 90 seconds goes through. Now, 9XT will see one, the Zofia, is direct counter, or is sort of counter here now, as 9XT will drop the shield, pull out that 2-round burst. Ion will survey on top of the catwalk above, just the side of FK1's Jaeger, and will try to get a shot through the grate, but it will not land, though Ion will end up out-dueling the Glaz, or out getting out-dueled as FK gets the Glaz of Ion towards the main door of Garage. T1 have complete control of CCTV at the moment, and a grenade from Panic will go out. All GDN needs to do is walk into sight and begin to plant here. As there's no yokai drones in play, of course, Echo being banned. It means that the only real stop that Pain has is a C4 or an Evil Eye Cam. Revolts will manage to take out GDN, and Panico equips that skeleton key. He'll walk right in, Diffuser goes down, and not exactly known for how much damage it can output. Panico will be able to get that kill with the skeleton key before Spawns is there to trade him off. 9XT inside a Garage still. That shield will have to lumber up onto the catwalk. Pulls out the 2-round burst and out duels GCR. Great job, but iBlacks with a double on Repel means that it'll be 9XT versus iBlacks in a 1v1. The brand new operators, Devin, will be the two to square off against one another. 9X will have 7 seconds to stick that defuse, but iBlacks up on Repel here should make it easy. But the shield is on the back of 9XT, which means that iBlacks is going to have to be very, very precise.
Wow.
And he'll miss it, not anticipating that 9XT shield will save him from taking too much damage, and that's a big miscalculation for Team 1, and Pain Gaming will manage to take 2 in a row now off of a great play from the clash of 9XT.
Well, now there's no question that the new player on the team is definitely fitting in as he saved the day at the end of the round. Also got some kills earlier, and fantastic play by his part, playing similar to the way the Montaigne has to play those stairs, but in this case, the fact that he didn't die, even having flanks on both sides, makes me think he's obviously played a bit of Clash, and was, or at least some other shield operators, and was well prepared to play that. But excellent play on his part, and it was great demonstration as well of why Maverick was useful, especially being a 6-pick the way it was. Because Bandit wasn't going to be expecting that, because it was a 6-pick, he was able to sneak and open up that little hole, get that battery out, and open that wall up. That was a great start by Team 1, but the fact that they couldn't finish the execute, despite having so much control of the map, was a bit of a surprise. But 9X gonna stick sneak in the 6-pick again on the Clash, but this time iBlacks completely revealing the Maverick, not bothering to hide it, and we'll see if it's a factor again on the wall here on Gym Bedroom this time.
So Gym Bedroom will function very similarly in the sense that you will likely assume the Maverick will take out the any possible resources that the defenders have on that jacuzzi wall. Take a look at the top right composition though, and that's Pain Gaming foregoing any type of breach denial. They're just going to let them have those walls for free, and then I assume structure themselves. So even though the attackers will be able to take the walls, they'll stumble transitioning after the breach goes off. There's obviously no Bandit and no mute available for Pain Gaming, so that's what I'm talking about when I say breach denied.
It's possible, too, that they don't realize you can't impact anymore and are thinking that that Lesion's going to be able to stop it. Hopefully not the case, though. Hopefully, as you said, that was their plan, to just let it open. Bringing the Clash, though, when the walls are going to get open does seem like a good idea. We saw it even impact the very end of last round. Because if you're going to have a big hole in the wall, what better thing to stick in it than a giant shield that can at least block and watch it, although maybe not completely deny their entry. It is going to make it much easier for you to defend that hole once it is open, because of course the most dangerous thing to do is peek it. So overall, this could be a good back and forth tussle like last bomb site was.
This is still a late setup now for Pain, as the exothermic charge will be able to find its target onto that jacuzzi wall. As we mentioned earlier on, you see debris shoot all the way towards the end of the hallway, signifying that that wall is going to be wide open. You got the Bailiff equipped on Revolts' Maestro, still slowly opening things up between the two sites, but he'll hop onto that Evil Eye Cam positioned by that opened hole in the jacuzzi wall. Don't exactly know what he was trying to do there. Maybe try to draw out any other operators that could have been on the other side of the wall. It's just the Thermite of GDN that's playing by the jacuzzi hole. Maverick had rotated over there, as iBlacks will be on the drone, but not currently an active member of the team. Hugzord is also joined over on the jacuzzi wall, so it does appear that it'll be somewhat of a gym push, at least for the time being, as 9XT tries to draw the fire away from the rest of Team 1. Inside of Logistics office, there's a drone of Ion sitting up on the hatch just to try and keep tabs on where that shield is going to be. And you'll see 9XT will move from room to room as he leaves that office and heads towards master bedroom. So good timing at the moment for Team 1 to be able to move and try to corral Pain Gaming, but they're going to have to try to transition here towards the execute. And burning the ADS is going to be their first focus, possibly try to clear things up for both Panico and Hugzord to get the most out of those frag grenades as well as the projectiles from the Zofia.
Well, you did see the one grenade go up, but 9XT is actually acting as quite a bit of a fragging operator despite being a shield intel operator most of the time. I think he's got this down very well in terms of timing, and the fact that he's able to play this with both sides exposed is impressive to say the least, because he could easily be taken out by just good timing and communication from Team 1 or possibly even a well-placed grenade. But nonetheless, Panico is going to be the one to sneak around. This could be the end of 9XT if they are able to time it right, but he's actually moved on into the room. Hopefully they have also taken out that evil eye that they could have easily taken out with Zofia earlier on that wall.
Panico will be confronted and pulls out the skeleton key, but you cannot shoot through that shield. Panico is going to be slowed by a lot, and there you go. We'll reveal 9XT for just a second as he whacks away at her shield. That's an easy counter to Clash, but the rest of her team unable to jump on it. Panico will try to go yet again as he and 9XT squaring off. Painus is looking to lock this one down, but Diffuser will go down successfully as Revolt's taken out Ion, and now Spawns fells Panico. It's all up to iBlax and GDN, the dual hard breachers of Maverick and Thermite left, but iBlax not able to secure the kill that he was hoping for. GDN, meanwhile, playing by the bathroom wall as iBlax could possibly go for a double. He gets 9XT and he softens up GCR, but he will be traded off, leaving it all in the hands of the Thermite, holding a tight angle, but he misses his shots. Oh no, GCR will not be quite as unfortunate, and they'll get that diffuser with ease, as it was a great try from Team 1, but they just cannot put it together after they get that initial pressure onto Pain Gaming. That'll be 3 in a row for the defense here, as every single defensive site from Pain has gone their way.
And we'll see if they finally go for bomb site number 4, but they don't have to, so most likely back to church. Yep, and that will be it. Not a surprise there, but great execution on the defense for the most part there in terms of staying alive for a long period of time, especially on 9XT, who was able to hold that kind of hub point between 3 different rooms, between the bedroom, logistics, and the hallway leading to the wall and hot tub, as well as leading over to the gym, just denying so much entry because he was also watching the hatch and logistics. Not to mention, I imagine if they tried to push in through the construction connector side, he would also have been able to help with that. So overall, just I know I'm highlighting him quite a bit in terms of being the new player, but he's being very impactful, and he's showing how to play that new operator. But I think iBlax is also doing a fantastic job on Maverick. You saw him make some good kills both rounds on the cache as well as the gym, but it's just unfortunately for him, the rest of the team is not able to pull the kills together, and he's forced to do a lot of the killing himself along with that Thermite, and just he can only get so many in that tight hallway. We'll see if they can finally bring it back though on this bomb site, but they have yet to win anything so far, and getting close to that side switch.
I like that you touched upon how 9XT is playing Clash as more of a fragging operator. We're going to see 9XT go back to Clash now. This makes 4 rounds in a row that we've seen that defensive shield operator come out, and really taking advantage of the fact that that quick swap is able to make Clash fire back in close quarters. A lot of times what we see from 9XT is he'll slow the attackers, dive around a corner, swap to that 2-round burst SMG, and just unload as he re-emerges, not giving the attackers much time to respond here. And we saw he was towards the bottom of the leaderboard in terms of points, but he's got 3 kills, which is only 1 off the lead on his team, as there's a logjam right now at 3 points for the rest of Pain. So yeah, he's doing his role quite well while also being able to get kills. And speaking of doing their roles well, some soft destruction there from the bailiff of the Maestro of Revolts, eluding him. This setup, by the way, if anybody's curious, is so that Castle can throw an impact grenade up through the hole and stop the X-Kairos, or in this case, the exothermic charge from going off, as Team 1 has not run a Habana. They've been relying a lot on Maverick and then Thermite primarily as their main fragger there. It looks like they're also setting up for possibly another impact trick on the church wall. So 2 opportunities to possibly waste these exothermic charges from GDN, and that's a lot of value that would be lost because they don't have the second hard breacher available for the attackers.
Yeah, to have your secondary gadget deny 2 primary gadgets and the only hard breacher is an absolute great use of resources from the defenders, especially since those impacts aren't super necessary otherwise. So if they can pull even one of those off, that would be a big coup for them in terms of being able to get progress. Blacks, they're bringing this Capitao, should be interesting, but they also have the Sledge to just open this right up and get this. It looks like he got the barbed wire at the exact same time. So well played by Panico, and actually going to use the hole that they made both ways, but does not land. Does a little bit of damage, but not too much.
Revolts, who was lying prone as the Maestro on the other side of that church wall, sees the grenade indicator come down and goes, oh, I should probably move. And
yeah.
That'll be the Maestro relocating. Now he will go on to his Evil Eye and zap a couple drones. Second frag grenade will get tossed down from Panico, and that one misses. So the first one was successful. It didn't actually hit its targets. It only took a small bit of Revolt's health off, but Panico wasn't able to do much with the second one, as he will see all the way down the hallway, and of course there's a clash. I love all these players just shooting at the clash because they reactively just see somebody and they want to fire, but don't really realize that you can't fire through that shield. As the Ash of Ion sprints in, GCR, who'd taken some damage in an ensuing fight, or an earlier fight, will take some more damage this time, as now a Firebolt goes in to try and get the clash. It'll be iBlack's down, but Pain here with 3 kills as Ion finds his second, but will find no more as he's traded off, meaning that it's a big advantage in favor of Pain. iBlack's has been down, so it's just Panico who'll behead spawns, but here comes the clash, and look at that. Whacks away and will now go to pick up his teammate as 9XT is unable to switch the shield. A good push from the Sledge, but he won't find that much more success as FK is there to silence him. But iBlacks, who'd been just picked back up as Capitao, will find himself in a 1v1. Very winnable from FK, but no! iBlacks will land his shot. FK looks just a little bit too far to the right and swings wide, giving Team 1 their very first victory in this game, and comes at a pretty good time, not allowing Pain to go up 4-0.
Good adjustment bringing the Capitao after all the trouble that Clash was giving you. Unfortunately, the focus on trying to get the Clash down with it cost him a little bit, but the fact that he was able to get picked back up managed to reverse that. Good play on Panico's part, especially taking down the Clash in the first place and turning that around. Unfortunately, the Diffuser did bait him into it a little bit, but great gunplay by the Capitao, winning that out with his low health. Still managing to save the day. That was a close one, though. For that to be your only win so far does make me worry for the rest of the rounds, because it is still 2-point advantage over to Pain. And this is going to be the last defense, though. If it turns out that this is defensive favored, in this case, as you mentioned earlier, then we could see a bit of a comeback from Team 1 after this round. 9XT going to do surprise no one here. 6 picking from the Pulse. And we're also going to see Panico instead of iBlacks bring in the Maverick this time. I feel like iBlacks was a good Maverick, so we'll see how Panico does on that.
The Maverick was not the issue at all in their attack last time. I don't know how much value you're going to get out of a Maverick downstairs on Church, as that's where we're going to go after an unsuccessful attempt from Pain. They'll try again, and we've seen this time and time again, especially from Pain, going back to sites that they didn't necessarily find any success on before. Bank comes to mind. They defended CCTV downstairs and lockers 4 times in a row until finally winning it. They only won it because their Twitch got an insane 1v3, killing the Twitch in the final seconds and then getting the defuse off. So, I mean, you can stick with it and try again. They obviously feel very comfortable on Church, but I am a little puzzled as to why they go to Church again when they were successful on both CCTV and Gym. Possibly roll the die on one of those two sites on this map where you've had success before.
Well, in this case, they are bringing at least a different operator in terms of bringing the Dokkaebi, but not sure what good that's going to do if they're not playing Roam. I mean, there will be a little bit of work you can do with it downstairs, but with the difficulty in using the SMG-12 and being forced to use the CZ, now you're left with a less fragging operator and more dependent on the utility. Sure, you get the smokes, but you're not playing a glass or anything that's really going to benefit that much from the smoke outside of planting. So, I'm not sure what utility they're really going to get out of that. Might have been intended for a different bomb site, hoping they weren't going to play Church again, as you were mentioning, but in this case, still might help, but definitely going to be a bit of a questionable one. And they are not bringing the Capitao again, so not bringing something to, again, counter that Clash, maybe because they feel like Panico did just fine with Sledge, but he is going to be on Maverick this time. So they're all shaking things up a little bit, despite that being the last round that they actually won. He could be useful in trying to deny at least the bandit batteries on the Church wall, but that's a pretty exposed position, especially if they open the top of the wall and throw a C4 over, which is, of course, we know from Ubisoft, that is the counter to Maverick.
Now, the Dokkaebi still brings a ton to the table, though. Keep in mind, 2 smokes. If you're running the C75, that's still a lot of damage that it does. You know, the DMR is not that bad, and this is a lockdown composition if I've ever seen one from Team 1. again, they have the Dokkaebi to stop everybody as, oh, look at this, a beautiful C4, it'll catch it, goodbye Panico, as GCR just waiting for the Maestro there. A great read, and that's Pain getting a very early advantage, and Maverick being off the table is a pretty big loss for Team 1 as well.
I feel like maybe you should have just played Buck or Sledge again. that was not the most helpful hole to open right there, and just being stuck in one place. That's why they say it's C4 is a counter, right? Because the way you're standing in place doing your job. So well played by GCR, great initial kill, and that's going to give them a chance to maybe lock this up with that 4-1 advantage.
And as I was saying about Dokkaebi, have those phone calls go off, send in a couple concussive mines from Hugzord, and then have iBlacks just sprint right in, and that's the makings of a very good lockdown attack. But we don't know if it's going to come. It'll have to be soon, 45 seconds remaining. 9XT at the bottom of blue spies the Zofia of Hugzord, and all the phones are going to ring away. So there you go. The onset of this execute as Dokkaebi sends out the very first lifeline, but it doesn't appear that much of Pain will try to quiet these phones. 2 flashes go in, and 9XT is going to be pressured, and look at this from above, but GCR is there to get one. Ion with the C75 will get him in revolts, takes out Ion. 9XT is just feeding everybody in. They're so distracted with the clash that they don't see the rest of Pain circling and waiting to try and take them all down. What a magnificent hold from Pain around the operator with the defensive shield. We'll switch sides with Pain walking away 4-1 on that first half.
Well, if anyone was wondering how to use the new operator, 9XT's been holding a 5-round masterclass on how to do exactly that. So obviously can't do it on the attack now, although I suppose he could play Montaigne if he wanted to go for a similar role. But nonetheless, Panico might try his hand here as they're going to start on Cash rather than Church, but they're at a pretty big deficit. We saw something similar last map, and that it ended 6-1, and it definitely could be the case here. But as you mentioned earlier, this can be pretty defender-sided, and of course we saw that from Pain, but I doubt Team 1 are out of this yet. I have a feeling they're going to be able to at least get one more round, if not more than that. 9XT, though, is still the one to take over the 6th pick. He does like shields, obviously. Maybe we've got the makings of the Latin American young here. Is he's going to pick... He does go to the... Wait, pick an operator.
Jackal at the last second.
Yeah.
So no Montaigne being there. How much mental games go into these 6 pick is a very good question to ask a lot of these teams, especially with 9XT not showing the clash on Pain Gaming. Instead, changing at the last second in the 6th pick on that last defense. Could have possibly seen a Capitao 6th pick from Team 1. Wasn't in the cards for them, but the Capitao is a pretty decent counter, as was mentioned, and probably Clash's hardest counter with that asphyxiating bolt or the flame arrow being used against her. So.
Well, there's a couple of North American teams that specifically bring Capitao pretty much every time anyways, and never have to 6th pick to it because they're just very good at using it.
You know, Rogue does run Capitao about half the time. SK Gaming runs Capitao an awful lot, and I mean, pray for the teams that run Clash against them because they likely got a strategy with that asphyxiating bolt used for that AoE denial, but you can possibly even use it to secure a kill on one of the defenders at the same time, which gives you a major boost for your ability to get that plant down and fend off the remaining defenders. But Team 1 will go on to defense, and if we see the way that Pain played is any indication, the defenders should have a pretty significant advantage with the way that these bans went down, or just simply Pain is eating Team 1's lunch. But I mean, 60% of people thought that Pain was going to walk away from this. 9XT has been so pivotal on this team as he's been able to drive or try to draw all the fire away from the remaining members of Team 1. It was an excellent job. Like you said, a masterclass of 5 rounds on how Clash plays out. Can Panico be able to put that mantle on and carry the said mantle? Well, not no. Panico's being used inside of Garage at the moment on this Clash, so similar to what we saw at 9XT.
Well, he's going to be providing a lot of intel, but he doesn't seem to be playing it very aggressively and kind of pushing back, somewhat defeating the point of playing it. Usually you're going to play someone up in the catwalk anyways to be able to peek down through those cracks, so he's not adding a lot of extra value other than bait at the moment, as opposed to 9XT, who we saw playing downstairs, actually playing very aggressively, even against the attackers on both sides. But the round still has a lot of time to go. We are actually seeing our first mute as well. A mute and a bandit here, so that means double C4s as well as double denial of breaches. It's going to make it a lot harder. But they brought both hard breachers on Pain, something we did not see from Team 1.
And only one direct anchor as well on GDN and playing the smoke, as no Maestro is going to be used. So this garage is basically just going to be anchored down by Panico, and he's going to be the one trying to slow down Pain from getting into the building. 9XT has taken some damage, and that's really all we've had for encounters thus far, is there's only a minute to go. So 2 minutes down, great time management at the time being for Team 1 to be able to slow down the attack, as Pain Gaming still seems to be thwarted by that clash inside a garage.
Yeah, they are taking a lot of time on this execute. They at least got control of the lounge downstairs, but as you saw at the clash, pushing it. 9XT, though, with the first kill on Hugzord, means Jaeger's down. That's not going to be a huge difference in terms of the stack here, but looks like he might still be doing his job potentially. Diffuser, though, being dropped and finally picked up, but at least they got the Panico out of the garage, but in the meantime have already rotated.
Ion gets felled, and it's once again Pain in the driver's seat as they're trying to get this clash at the top of the stairs dealt with. GDN will tag up and toss out one of those toxic babes. A flash will go in, and whether Clash will be able to see around that or not, we won't know. GDN trying to hold things down at the top of red as smoke goes down in front of Panico, and this could still be a very winnable situation, but Revolts is going for the plant. Clash will drop her shield and will rely on the Hibana there to stop her. But no, there's no coverage. GDN is last one alive, but Pain will just swarm in. Very, very close. Almost Team 1 being able to hold that one off, as the Hibana making great work of both the Type 89 as well as the Bearing 9 to secure those final 2 kills along with the aid of the Buck, and that's match point. We've had a very fast day in the 6-1 in that Black Dragons nip game, and we are now looking at a possible repeat here, as long as Pain can walk away with a win in this round.
Honestly, the biggest flaw that I could see in that attack was just time management. That was a pretty good execute. I mean, they got a bit stalled out in terms of dealing with the clash that was playing up in top of the Catwalk garage, but they forced Panico to rotate by playing a different side. They took control over Lounge to attack from below, and doing so brought that Panico clash all the way back over there to try and push it. Fortunately, the smoke wasn't being very effective either, having to deal with trying to throw smoke canisters over the shield and being unsuccessful in doing so. You saw it hit the shield and end up on the ground. Just a bit of misplays there from Team 1, along with a good execute by Pain. That was down to the wire, though, trying to get that push and just fragging out at the very end. Working out for them. Whether or not Team 1 can get a round or two here, I'm feeling like this is looking very Pain favored right now, outside of just the scoreline.
Yeah, I mean, and this really gums up the stats too, right? Because I mean, we'll look back on the Black Dragon nip game on Bank, and we'll try to use it as justification to say, oh, well, Bank is more defender favored, it's more attacker favored,
right,
etc. You'll look at the T1 Pain game that we're still in the midst of, and if Pain does end up winning at 6-1, then you got 4-round victories for the defenders, and then that would be 3-round victories for the attackers, given that T1 won, and then Pain would have won the previous round and now this. So it kind of throws off any semblance of like normalcy with these maps and what we expect out of a pattern of behavior with defense or attackers winning.
Brazil tends to reverse that, though. When this map was very attacker favored, Brazil would tend to win defense, or Latin America rather. It was just one of those things. They tend to play it very differently.
I mean, we could say it is Latin America, but there's only Brazilian teams, so I think it's fine to say Brazilian.
I just wanted to be. It's not really politically correct, but correct to
Latin
what we
America
call it.
as a region is larger than just Brazil, but the Latin America region in Rainbow Six Siege is solely Brazilian teams. So I think there's I think there's some justification there in you saying
right,
Brazil. These are Brazilian teams.
But either way, I feel like we try and encourage teams not to roster swap to fix problems. But lately, I'm feeling like singing a different tune. It seems like roster changes seem to be the way to go, especially when it's just one player, and that seems to be the player that you needed for whatever you were trying to do. Because this is working out very well. 9XT playing a good Jackal even last round. I think he got the initial frag as well for his team. I'm not sure if he was really playing necessarily an entry frag kind of role, but he still was the one to get that initial kill. So he's being a very big impact player, frags or not.
I mean, the whole concept behind dedicated entry fraggers has fallen by the wayside a little bit. You've usually got fragging operators with good gadgetry. So if you look at the lineup of Pain right now, the assumption would be that 9XT is probably going to be your go-to because he is the one gadget that you can lose and probably not sweat it that much. But at the same time, we've seen Zophia's entry frag before.
A lot.
Quite a bit, because she's got great killing potential with her rifle. Halfway through round number 7. And this is match point in favor of Pain Gaming. They have had a pretty firm command on this game, all things considered, and will continue as GCR finds the very first kill before iBlacks is there to trade it off. So GCR will not last that much longer. Trying to establish a crossfire on this clash will be both 9XT as well as the Zofia of spawns, and there it is, 9XT just going in, and they clobber the shield of Panico. So take notes, kids, because 9XT has been the more successful clash through 2 games thus far. We also find a 4v3 in favor of Pain, and they're in good position to close this one down.
It was good to see the good Clash player counter the other Clash player as well, showing how it's done.
You know what I just did, Devin? I just mashed the idioms. I said close this one down. I should have said close this one out or shut this one down.
I'm okay if you close this one down.
You know what? I'm very critical of Michael when he mashes the idioms, and I just did it myself.
Yeah, I know.
Equalizing will be GDN, the Ella getting the headshot kill onto FK1, and the Buck will be silenced inside of Bar. And now look at that. GDN using the drop hatch to rotate back to site, being tracked by spawns from above, but they're going to have to hustle, as 9XT will find Hugzord. Hugzord has not been able to get a kill onto the board so far today. iBlacks with very low HP as the Valkyrie playing around the boxes, and what little is left will be 9XT picking up his 3rd kill. GDN is last one inside of Church, and he's got his work cut out for him. The Scorpion's a very powerful gun. He'll dive behind this bar. He'll see 2. Can we see anything happen? No, GDN. No luck whatsoever as Revolts gets the last kill, and it is your second 6-1 of the day. Pain Gaming will walk away with this one. 60% of you were correct. A hail of bullets. GDN losing his life.
A little bit of a slow attack, but it doesn't seem to matter because at the end they'll just kill everyone. They're not needing to get the plant down if they just kill everyone first. I mean, maybe it's a little scrappy towards the end, but overall, Pains executes while Team 1 had opportunity to be able to stop them in terms of time management, like I said, delaying them long enough. They're not able to do that because the map control being taken towards the end of the round is more than enough to push right into them to where there's nowhere to hide at that point, and there was no roamers left. They're clearing very quickly. Similar to Vitality, but I would say a little more aggressive than the way Vitality